Well, it's Tuesday, and that means it's time for Family Time. I'm Tracy Johnson. Glad to have you.
But the reality is that we all, as an entire state, need to be involved in reducing those numbers of victims of family violence.
I am thrilled to share my conversation with Texas State Attorney General Greg Abbott with you as he pleads for your help to stop family violence. Last year, 140 women were killed during acts of family violence in the state of Texas alone. And though the flu season is still a couple of months away, the CDC is urging flu shots now for infants. I'll give you all the details. And is your family ready if there were a disaster or terror attack? Family and child development expert Dr. Gail Gross is here with advice on how to protect your family and how to help your children feel safe. And oh, those bad habits. Need help getting rid of them, like the bottle or the pacifier? Got some advice to share with you. And thousands will be diagnosed with cancer this year. I'll tell you how your grocery bill can truly make a difference. But first, Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott.
Family Time with Tracy Johnson. Brought to you by Chevy Trucks. Chevy, driving Texas.
I've got a friend, and I think she's being abused.
Afraid to get involved? Imagine how she feels. Break the silence. Make the call. 1-800-799-SAFE. All calls are anonymous.
Well, 140 women were killed during acts of family violence in Texas last year. That's more than 2 per week. A study by the Office of the Attorney General and the Texas Council on Family Violence found that 35% of Texans who directly identified themselves or a family member as a victim of domestic violence said that they did nothing about the abuse. Well, Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott is working to change this with a bilingual public awareness campaign, and he joins us from our sister station, KVUE-TV, in Austin. General Abbott, thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
What role are you taking in combating family violence, domestic violence?
We're taking a very active role to combat family violence here in the state of Texas. The first challenge that we face is a challenge of recognition. The victims of family violence need to recognize themselves that they are being victimized, and also their family members, their friends, their relatives also need to face that same recognition and realize that there in fact is a problem. The second thing we focus on then is action. Those who are victims and those who know victims need to take action to ensure that we can stop this downward spiral of family violence. And the best way to take action is to pick up the phone and make that call and report that in fact there is family violence taking place.
General Abbott, how big is the problem here in the state of Texas?
Well, unfortunately, it is a dramatically growing problem. You mentioned some numbers, and that is that more than 2 women were killed each and every week last year in the state of Texas. And regrettably, those numbers are increasing, in part due to our increased population, in part due to other factors. But the reality is that we all, as an entire state, need to be involved in reducing those numbers of victims of family violence.
And so that's basically what you're doing. You're asking, you're begging, you're pleading the people, family members, friends that know of this to break the silence. That's part of the campaign, correct?
Breaking the silence is the most critical aspect at this stage of the campaign because we need the victims to feel comfortable that they can come forward, report the family violence so that we in the law enforcement community can do something about it. But also, equally important is the fact that their friends and family members can also help stop a victim from suffering by also picking up the phone and making that phone call. Let me give you another number, and that is about 75% of the people in the state of Texas either have been a victim of family violence or know someone who has been a victim. That is obviously 3/4 of the state. If we can begin to have a large number of those people, give us a phone call. Give other people involved in this process a phone call so that we can intervene, take action, provide protection. We can reduce and eliminate that downward spiral of domestic violence.
General Abbott, I know that as we have sat and talked in groups about this particular problem, there is the concern of remaining anonymous should you place that phone call. So what do you say to those people?
You can, even after you pick up that phone and make that phone call, you can maintain your anonymity as long as you want to. Just because you make that phone call doesn't mean that any other action has to take place, doesn't mean you have to leave your home, doesn't mean you have to leave the situation you're in. They will provide you that opportunity to do so, but you can maintain your anonymity through this as long as you want, regardless of whether or not you're the victim or you're a family member or a friend of the victim. Your anonymity will be protected as long as you want it to be protected.
Okay, if we could, we opened this segment with one of the spots, one of the PSAs that are running. If we could, let's take a look, because we mentioned that this is a bilingual program that you are proposing for the state. Let's listen to both a Spanish PSA as well as an English.
When the life of a friend or family member is shattered by violence, your greatest gift is hope. Break the silence. Make the call. 1-800-799-SAFE. All calls are anonymous.
Sí. Hola. Tengo una amiga, creo que está siendo maltratada.
¿Tienes miedo de involucrarte? Imagínate cómo se siente ella. Rompe el silencio. Llama ahora. 1-800-799-7233. Tu llamada es anónima.
Very, very moving, General Abbott. You launched this program campaign back in 2002. Is this part two, so to speak?
The initial campaign was launched in 2002, and it was a focus on getting the actual victims of domestic violence to break the silence and make the call. The second step, stage two of the campaign, is to get family members, friends, relatives, people who know a victim of domestic violence to break the silence and make the call. This is an entire community effort where we bring into play all sectors of the community, everyone who may touch upon domestic violence, which, as I mentioned, is about 75% of all Texans. We need the help of everyone to begin to solve this growing problem.
Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being a part of Family Time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. More Family Time to come in just a few moments. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, as of August 1st, the United States government raised the threat level to code orange for the financial services sector in New York City, northern New Jersey, and Washington, D.C. As for the rest of the country, it remains at yellow.
Intelligence reporting indicates that while al-Qaeda and those sympathetic to their cause are still a principal threat, the principal threat, Iraqi state agents, Iraqi surrogate groups, other regional extremist organizations, and ad hoc groups or disgruntled individuals may use this time period to conduct terrorist attacks against the United States in our interest, either here or abroad.
So how can we protect our families? How can we help our children feel safe? From our sister station in Houston, family and child development expert Dr. Gail Gross joins us with help. Dr. Gross, good to see you. Welcome back to Family Time.
Thank you. Good morning.
Are you seeing an increase or a concern over the talk of terrorist attacks amongst families?
Oh, yes. You know, there seems to be a collective fear really overriding the whole culture, not only in our country, but all over the world.
What are some of the strategies that you use in reassuring children and families during these times?
First, I tell parents to have a plan. That in itself, that action will reduce stress and fear and anxiety in their families, and invest their children in that plan. Remembering age-appropriate information, that younger children are in concrete operations, so that you want to give them very concrete, simple things that you have as a plan that they can do, similar to when I was a child, ducking under a desk, or going into a closet or a basement during the Korean conflict. And children that are in critical thinking, abstract operations, are adolescents, we want to invest them in more intuitive kinds of plans. But we want to give age-appropriate information because children take their cue from their parents. And we don't want them to be frightened. We want to correct media and talk with them, communicate, connect, and listen so that we can really correct any bad information they're getting, and we can keep them from being frightened.
Okay, so make sure they're a part of the family plan, also communicating something big. What if the children are vulnerable, though? At what point, then, when do you step in? And what advice do you give to parents at that point?
I always tell parents to know their children and know their history. If it's a family from divorce, children, of course, are more vulnerable. There's a lower level of anxiety often with children, because for children, the worst has already happened. Their parents have gotten a divorce. And then if there are areas where children have had abuse or they've had any kind of abduction or issues such as that, you really have to be more careful with those children, and you want to make them feel safe and protected. They're looking towards their parents for protection. They'll take their cue from their parents. So it's important for parents not to burden their children with their own fears. That's a place that they should take those fears to the counselor, for example. But with their children, be very adult and parent. And in that way, if your child is more anxious, there are concrete things you can do. Really back to basics, back to your roots, walking together, talking together, doing things at home, a nightlight, reading, cuddling, and listening. The key to your children's communication skills are really listening with empathy and investing them in the process and giving them things that they can do. That will lower anxiety.
And I kind of hear you answering the question with honesty. That kind of goes along with the age appropriate as well.
You are so smart. We're trying to build trust with our children. Trust is based on experience. So we must be authentic. We have to be what we want to see. And if we want our children to trust themselves and trust us, and trust the outer world, we must be trustworthy. They must feel they can count on us, the next responsible adult, and that gets back to the idea of having a plan. Even if it's a silly plan, it has to be a plan, and we practice and rehearse it. As I said, when I was a child, that was the Korean conflict.
Right.
We went under our desks. Surely that wouldn't have protected us from an atomic bomb. But we felt that we were doing something, and it lowered our anxiety. So have a plan, practice and rehearse it. Have a designated place if the family gets separated where they arrange to go. A responsible adult if the parents are not there, where the child can go. And that will reduce stress.
Great advice. Dr. Gross, always good to see you. Thanks so much for being a part of Family Time.
Thank you so much. You're wonderful.
Thank you. Up next, why it might not be too early to get a flu vaccine for your child. You're watching Family Time. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment. And welcome back to Family Time. I'm Tracy Johnson. Well, while the flu season is still 2 months away, it's not too early to take some preventative measures. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends infants between ages 6 months and 23 months receive the flu shot over the next month. Influenza, a respiratory illness, can cause severe illness and life-threatening complications. If you're a parent, you know all babies have certain habits they cling on to, but when something like hanging onto a pacifier turns undesirable, a parent needs to step back and say, okay, whose bad baby habit is this really? Rachel Hall has more on breaking these bad habits.
It was 3-year-old TJ's dentist who told his mom, time to break the bottle habit.
That probably was the leading cause for his cavities. We've made drastic changes. The first thing we implemented was no more bottle at night.
When an innocent behavior turns undesirable, a parent needs to step back and say, whose bad habit is this really?
We call them your bad baby habits because they're usually things that you as a mom came up with to try and satiate your child, but they turn into habits that you really have a hard time getting out of. But the beauty of them is that you can break the cycles.
If you are rocking your baby to sleep each night, she won't learn to settle on her own. Always try to put your baby in bed when she's tired but is still awake. Pacifiers can be a godsend, but let it go too long past the 6-month mark, and you've got one of the toughest habits to break. Some moms choose to go cold turkey, while others will try swamping the binky for a toy. Find yourself a prisoner of silence while your baby dozes? Keeping a house quiet is not necessary for the baby.
What you end up doing is creating a situation where your child does finally get used to responding when you do make a little bit of noise.
For more information on your bad baby habits, check out the August issue of Parenting Magazine. I'm Rachel Hall.
Coming up on Family Time, Gathering for the Betterment of Others. We'll tell you how you can truly make a difference. You're watching Family Time. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, just this year alone, thousands will be diagnosed with cancer, and chances are you know someone with the disease. The opportunities for you to make a difference in the lives of those battling this often terminal illness are endless. You recognize my guest, Larissa Bruton with Taylor's Angels. Always good to see you with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society as well. And Cookie Rednick with Whole Foods. Good to see you as well. Thanks so much for being a part of Family Time. Most of everyone in the state of Texas recognizes you because you're such a part of Family Time. But why don't you tell folks about Taylor's Angels?
Well, Taylor's Angels was founded about 4 years ago in memory of my daughter, Taylor. She lost her life to cancer when she was 4 years old. And we realized firsthand the financial toll that a cancer diagnosis takes on families, especially those with children, because a lot of times one of the parents has to quit working. And so we turned, the loss of her life, we tried to turn it around into something positive, and we've been able to make a big impact and help others and parents battling this disease with their child.
Well, I think big is an understatement because actually you've never had to turn anybody away.
Right.
Which is really awesome. Tell us a little bit about the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's mission is to help raise funds to find a cure for blood-related cancer. And the big event in October across the state and across the nation, for that matter, is the Light the Night Walk. And it's an amazing event. It's their annual walk. It's held in the evening, and everyone carries a lighted balloon, white for the survivors and red for supporters. And funds are raised through that walk to help find a cure.
And it's really neat because actually you see these events take place across the country, across the state of Texas, and they are on different evenings. And so we encourage people to go to our website, and then we'll link you to that website for you to find out when the event is taking place in your city. But I guess the greatest thing about it is it brings together friends and families, and it's just a neat time for you to spend the evening together, but for a really awesome cause.
It's a real family-oriented event. There's before the walk, there's all kinds of entertainment. We have clowns, bounce houses, food and drinks. Everything is donated. It's absolutely free, and we just ask everyone to come out and raise funds to help find a cure and enjoy the night.
It's really awesome, and that's a few weeks away. Some of the Light the Nights will be taking place, the end of September into October?
Right. In Plano and Dallas, the weekend of October 23rd and 24th, and then primarily throughout the month of October.
Okay, wonderful. Cookie, thanks for being a part of all of this. Tell us what your stores are doing tomorrow in North Texas.
Tomorrow, our Richardson, Plano, and Arlington stores will have our Community Giving Day, which a percentage of the total of our sales will go to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. So everybody come shop with us.
Absolutely. Is this the first time you've done something like this?
No. My store has been involved in this for the last few stores, and I'm from the Plano store, and now the other stores are now getting into it. We're a major sponsor of the Light the Night. And so this is our way to give back to the community and help, but also at the same time to make people aware.
Absolutely. And do you see oftentimes survivors' families that come out? Because that's what's so That's
yes,
what's so
they
moving
do.
to me.
They come out, and it's a good feeling. It's a wonderful thing to know that you're a part of this.
Do you see an increase in sales as you have over the last couple of years? Do you see more people coming out and being a part of this?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. We have a good community here in the Metroplex. People do come out and help.
Okay, so this is the entire day tomorrow?
The entire day tomorrow at our Richardson, Plano, and Arlington stores.
No matter what you buy?
No matter what. Everything, the top of the sales will go.
Wonderful. Well, we appreciate you being a part.
Thank you.
Larissa, always good to see you. Thanks for everything you do. Well, as always, a very special thank you to Larissa Bruton with Taylor's Angels for all she does to better the lives of those that are battling cancer. Please visit our website for more information on the Leukemia Lymphoma event that will be taking place tomorrow. Cookie, thank you so much for being a part of that as well. And please mark your calendars to participate in Light the Night in your city, primarily taking place in the month of October across the state of Texas. To Dr. Gail Gross for helping our families through these times that appear so frightening to many of our children, and especially to Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott for all he's doing to combat violence within the home. Before we go, Jill Wolfe once said, "There's something in a simple hug that always warms the heart. It welcomes us back home, makes it easier to part." Well, coming up this weekend, I want to mention to you it's the 15th annual Visions, the Women's Expo in Dallas, with over 400 exhibitors. Everything from gift items, on-site massages, travel packages, treasures for the home or garden. I will be out there on Sunday. My colleague Maddie Roberts will be there on Saturday. I would like to personally invite you to drop by, visit the TXC on stage. I'll be joined by professionals that can offer tips on healthy eating for the family, how to protect your precious photos, a family counselor and pediatrician on site to answer your questions as well, plus a whole lot more. For more information on Visions, you can visit www.beloexpo.com and click on Visions for all the information. Again, that's this weekend. So I hope to see you there. Until next Tuesday, hope you're able to spend a little more family time together. Take care.